Welcome to the Unraveled.Podcast. My name's Alina.
My name is Nina.
And today I wanted to discuss sales techniques. Whether you're in real estate or kind of any industry in sales, I think it's a great, discussion to be had. I know when I first got into real estate for myself, one of the things I struggled with was talking too fast. Number one, it's not good to talk fast in general. But one thing that my broker constantly was telling me at the time, like, Alina, you're talking too fast. People cannot understand you. Because she'd go back and listen to the conversations, or she'd just be in the office hearing me talk. And she'd be like, you're just talking way too fast. And I also realized it myself when I had to keep repeating myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you are really talking too fast. You're going to have to slow things down. So I started reading a lot of sales books and learning a lot of different techniques. And one of the things I learned within that was people comprehend things at the pace that they speak themselves. So if I'm talking too fast, they're not going to pick up or comprehend what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But when I talk at the same pace as them, they're able to pick it up because that's how they're able to comprehend things, because they're based on how they talk themselves. So I learned that because I even struggled with slow talkers. Slow talkers are my most difficult people to have conversations with because I'm such a fast talker. In my mind, I feel like if I talk fast, I can get it all out in a short amount of time, which I can get it out in a short amount of time, but is the person going to understand it in that amount of time? When the reality is no.
Yeah.
So slow talkers was a lot of the people that I had to deal with at the time, which made me realize I really had to have patience, but also if I'm talking too fast, they're not going to understand anything I'm saying and they're not going to be able to hear me. So that was one of the really biggest things that I've had to change over time as I grew, is talking slower, but also talking in the same pace that people were speaking in. Yeah. So if I'm talking with a slow talker, my voice is going to change like this so that they are able to follow and understand me a little better. And if I'm talking with someone at my same pace, then I'd keep it normal because that's what most people talk at. And then you also have fast talkers who talk very, very fast. Yeah. And if you can comprehend it, great. So then talk at the same pace as them.
Yeah. I think it's just about mirroring the person that you're speaking to and trying to communicate with them in a way that they are most receptive to. I'm a slower talker, unless I'm mad at something I'm calling my sister, But then, you're right. Some people, they talk fast, they're hyped up. Some people are chill, quiet, shy, and you have to communicate with them and approach them in that way. Otherwise, they probably won't even listen. They'll just, glaze over.
You. Yeah. And that's actually one of the other biggest techniques I learned too, is mirroring and matching, being able to watch how people stand, see how they move, and see how they do different things, and literally match it, because it allows them to feel more comfortable and like you're almost similar to them a little bit. It makes them feel good. One of the other really biggest things I learned too in sales is people work with people they like. And that's one of the biggest things that I learned, that I live by. And I don't do it to necessarily try to get people to like me, but I try to find similarities in the people that I work with and compliment them on things that I would normally want to, if they have on an outfit that I would like, I'd be like, oh yeah, I love that outfit. Like, it looks cute on you. Or something like that. I want to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they like me enough to want to work with me. And, sometimes people don't like me. I'm okay with that. People aren't going to always like me. But if I can find qualities in a client or someone that I'm working with to, that we pair well with. Yeah. Am I saying that right?
Pair well.
Yeah, pair well. Then it gives you an opportunity to get them to like you and for you to like them. Because realistically, yes, we want them to like us, but also we have to like that person enough to want to work with them too. Yeah. And like you talked about in our other podcast, it didn't work out for you guys because he didn't like you. And honestly, you were probably at the point too where you didn't like him anymore or want to work with him because he just wasn't listening to you. So I think that's really important in sales, is to realize that people want to do business with people that they like. And if they don't like you, they're not going to do business with you.
Yeah. And it's always a good test too. If you can practice mirroring somebody when it comes to posture or voice or tone or energy, and there's still not a connection, you probably are not a good fit to work together.
And that's okay.
And it's a pretty easy test. There's also something else I learned in sales, that the person who leaves a conversation having spoken the most feels the best about the conversation. So being a good listener, it's a win-win, because you find out all this information about them. You can hear their why. If there's somebody that's looking to buy or sell, you can understand their story, their family, their intentions, and they will leave the conversation feeling great because they've just been talking about themselves the whole time.
Correct.
So it kind of makes our job easier in a way.
Correct. But you also have to learn how to lead the conversation, especially if you're dealing with someone who isn't willing to talk. Yeah. I think a lot of the times when we're going into an appointment with a new person, they're nervous. They've never met you before. They don't really want to talk to you. They're just there to look at the home and be done. But you have to learn how to break them out of that shell and get comfortable enough to talk to you about what's going on, what their needs are, what they want out of life, about their family, and just all of those things. So I think it's very important that you be able to learn how to drive a conversation, or you'll just be stuck in a room dead silent.
I think there's like a foundation, at least for me, that plays into this, and it's self-confidence and knowing who you are, knowing the value that you add, and knowing your business. Because when you have that foundation, you're not there thinking about yourself. You're there thinking about them. I have seen it a couple times with some realtors that are not necessarily new in the business, but they've not walked through that yet. And I can see them, they're just thinking about themselves, how they look, how they're sounding. They're not able to connect with that other person because they're so consumed with themselves. So by the time it's their turn to talk, there's no way to keep a connection. But if you can work through all that stuff, you know your value, know who you are, you're just authentically yourself. You're listening to them, talking with them. And I find that the connection is easier at that point. Or maybe you find out it's not a good fit. Either way, it's okay.
And you mentioning about how the agent being kind of more consumed within themselves, like when I'm going on an appointment, my first thought, no matter if I'm having a bad day or if I don't want to go, because there's plenty of those days, I'm having to remind myself that this buyer is buying a home, one of the most biggest purchases they'll make in their lifetime, whether it's the first, second, fifth, doesn't matter. It's still a big purchase, like almost like purchasing a car. So regardless if I want to be there or not, this is exciting for them, and I need to make the experience exciting for them. So the minute I get in my car, my mood has changed, my energy has changed. I become this fun, bubbly person, and I'm happy for them. I'm excited for them, and they need to feel that energy that this is an exciting process, and they should be excited about it too. Yeah. And I think that's part of how you get people to like you, when you're able to make it an exciting experience for them. Exciting experience for them. Yeah. I go talking too fast.
Well, I mean, it's so true for most people, because, we do this all the time. But for most people, they maybe will only do it once, twice, if they're an investor, maybe multiple times. And just giving them that experience. And it goes back to, it's all about them. It's all about them. In fact, if you watch some of the, top interviews or top podcasts where they have guests on, you can actually see how the host will mirror the guest's posture.
I've actually never paid attention to that.
Someone crosses there, the host will do that also, and you kind of see it in real time. And that's what makes them great at communicating and connecting and drawing those answers out of the guest. Right. Because of that.
If they don't feel comfortable, they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah. Also, another thing I wanted to touch on briefly, but it falls into communication, is there are some agents that they don't know how to communicate with their clients in order to hold a deal together. Just little teeny tiny things. As an example, this did not happen to me, but it's happening to a colleague just last week. Another agent, they're newer, probably, inexperienced, and there's a loose toilet. And they're about to lose the deal over, a $200 to $400 plumber bill to secure the toilet. And that agent didn't know how to counsel the client to say, hey, it's probably better that we work with them on this instead of going back on the market, because the likelihood that we're going to get an offer below the $400 difference is high. But then they don't know how to communicate that. They're too scared. They're not confident. It just drives me nuts. I see it so many times.
So, I actually, when I first got into real estate, I don't think it's even real estate. I think any industry, as you just develop, either it's business or personal, it takes time to develop, but you can't develop if you don't start anywhere. So if you're not willing to start having those conversations at some point, you'll never get to that point. Sure. And one of the things I struggled with in the beginning was having truthful conversations. I would have clients that would want to offer $50,000 and they're asking, and I didn't have the heart to tell them that they weren't going to get the house for that. Yeah. So I would just waste my time writing an offer that just was unrealistic. And as I, did it more, as I got sick of doing it.
Yeah.
And then I would go to my broker a lot and other agents at the office, and they would hop on the phone with me, with my client, and even help me have those conversations. Mm-hmm. And I picked up how they were having the conversations. And then eventually I started getting more familiar with doing them, learning other conversation techniques, but also listening to how other people talk. I would literally write down how they said something. So then that way, if I had that conversation again, mm-hmm. I could say it verbatim how they said it before. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very vital to learn how to have these important conversations and be truthful, because the other thing is too, is when you tell your client that, hey, when you break it down to them and are really just truthful about how something is, they're going to respect that. Yeah. They're going to appreciate you being honest versus wasting your time and their time. And that's one of the things that I've noticed so much, like in the listing appointment I told you before, I was honest with her. Like, you're not going to get this amount of money for your home. I'm going to list it at $280, but I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to probably get closer to $270. Yeah. And it doesn't set you up for failure as a bad agent because you didn't set them up for it, because it's always your fault if something goes wrong. But if you've already told them in advance and had that heart to heart and truthful conversation, they know what to expect.
Mm-hmm. And it is okay to give conflicting information, because the client is not the sales expert necessarily.
You are.
They may have an opinion of what their home is worth, but you have to be okay in saying, look, no, the data shows this. My very first coach in real estate, he told me the learning is in the doing. So the sooner you start to have those conversations, like you said, you were listening to other people and how they handled those objections, those conversations, and you started to use it. Well, now I'm sure you don't have to write it down, because you know the response to give, because you have done that so many times.
Correct.
But imagine if you had never started, or you're too nervous to start, you'd still be losing deals
there.
over $200.
Right.
A client might lose a house over that. And it happened to one of my listings where.
But also
crazy.
You said it happened to one of your listings, and you probably could have been saved if the other agent communicated to you what's going on.
Right.
So that kind of falls into communication as well, because I think it's so vital to be in sync with the other agent in the transaction, because y'all can communicate and figure out how to save the deal. I've told agents that have worked with me before that if you feel like you're at the point where the transaction's going to fall through, come and consult with me. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out what those buyers' concerns are, and let's figure out how to save the deal. Yeah. If these concerns are drastic, like structural things, okay, it's done. We're not, it's a done deal. Like, it's not going to happen. But if there's things that we can change, like if we need to buy a $200 microwave, I will go to the store myself and get the $200 microwave. I don't care. But let's do what we can to make both parties happy and get the deal to close.
But when that doesn't happen, it's because, honestly, I think there's some agents that think that we're in competition, or we're the enemy, or the opposing
it's a partnership.
side. We are all a team to get from under contract to close. And I've had it to where the other person, zero communication, send me a termination. You find after the fact, it's this tiny little thing that could have easily been worked through. The seller could have covered it, no problem, but I didn't even know that that's what was needed. I had a listing the other day that we discovered additional issues. So they had requested the septic tank to be pumped. We discovered additional issues, and immediately it's like, okay, no, we'll get this resolved. And we went out of our way to make sure, and sure enough, we closed. Because we're all on the same team.
Correct. Correct. And the minute both parties realize that, it makes the transaction so much easier. I had a client make an offer on a property last week. The property was listed at like $990. We came in at $850. Other party counters back at like $9. Yeah, I think it was like $910 or something. And then my client countered back, and we were at the point where we were like $10,000 apart.
Yeah.
So I spoke with the agent, and she was like, her client's not coming down, my client's not coming up. And I said, hey, let's do this. See if you can get your clients to here. I know my client's not coming up because it's an investor. We have numbers that we have to work around.
Yeah.
But if you can get your client to here, and if you can get your client to here, we can fill in the gap in the middle. We'll just split the difference in our commission. And we were cool with that. But the cool thing is her client got here, so we didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But we had already talked it through and figured out a way to make both of our clients happy and get the deal to work. And we were willing to sacrifice a little bit of our commission to make it work.
And on the realtor side specifically, it's important that you learn how to problem solve and communicate and collaborate, because what ends up happening is if you're so stubborn or insecure in yourself, you're not going to have a successful career in real estate.
Or prideful.
Yeah. because you won't be able to close.
Agreed.
Because you want to be right so bad that, number one, you won't get paid, but also the client will lose the home.
Correct.
Or won't be able to sell the home, whichever way. It happens so often.
And again, it goes back to the fact that when you're under contract on a deal, you and the agent are a team to get it to close at that point. So if you don't know what to do, call the other agent. There's so many times that I have called the other agent. I'm like, hey, I don't know what to do. My client's not willing to do this. What can we do, or what can your seller do to help us get to the closing table?
Yeah. Was there because I know we all have different experiences. Was there a time to where you lost a deal because of something so silly?
Yes. I will never forget it to this day. And this was probably my second year in real estate.
Oh man.
It was a $350,000 house on the lake, and we were trying to close it. My clients were paying cash, and they wanted less than $1,000 in repairs done. They were headed out of the country on a trip, so they were trying to get everything done before they left. And it's crazy. I just remember it so vividly because I was so upset about how it happened. And they wanted roughly about $1,000 in repairs done. I let the listing agent know. He was like, my clients are not doing it. They are not willing to do anything. And just being very brutal and just rude, and was like, we're not doing anything. And I was like, you know what? Okay. So I went and told my clients, and they were like, okay, well, we're not doing the deal anymore. And then all of a sudden the listing agent's like, oh no, we'll do it now. We'll do it now. That should have been, I understand your response should have been a little more different the first time. You could have been, hey, let's meet me halfway or whatever. But because you were so brutal and rude and adamant about not doing anything, my clients walked away.
Yeah.
And they ended up never buying anything again.
Yeah. Here's an example.
Had we had talked through it and tried to make it work, it would have been a different situation.
Yeah. And I mean, $1,000 difference is not that far apart.
No.
I have a listing right now. When this comes out, it will have already closed, but there is most of the repairs needed were on the exterior that were falling under the HOA. But you know how HOAs are? They'll respond when they want to.
This is true.
Could be this week. Could be 10 weeks from now. Who knows? So obviously the due diligence that the other buyer had was much shorter. And we realized, we extended the due diligence a little bit, but we realized probably the HOA is not going to get us an answer within this window of time. So the other agent sent me a list of some things that would help the buyer feel comfortable to move forward. The seller agreed, and we're moving forward. So there's always a solution most times, unless
Correct.
With the exception, there's a crazy scenario. Usually there's a way to come together if both realtors can collaborate and help their clients collaborate. But I mean, imagine if I told the seller, oh no, don't do that. You deserve better. You deserve more.
Right.
Huh?
Right. Even just, I swear I'm having to negotiate. I mean, it's just part of real estate. It's negotiation 24/7 all the time. Even just a couple days ago, we were negotiating repairs on something, and my clients was like, I'll pay $2,000, and I would like for them to pay the other half. So instead of me just telling the other agent, we're only paying $2,000, you guys need to pay the other half, I sent her a nice email that was probably 3 paragraphs long, letting her know hey, we really want to make this work. My clients feel like they want to meet you in the middle, and if you guys can pay the other $2,000 in repair, they'll pay the other $2,000 in repair, and blah 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 blah, blase. But she emailed me back another nice email with 3 paragraphs, and we ended up working it out. My clients paid the full repairs, but it's all about how you communicate and say things to be able to get to that happy medium and negotiate. So I think that's another part of communication that's so important, is how you say things to be able to get what you need out of the situation, quite honestly. And you still may not be happy with the results. My clients aren't happy paying $4,000, but they're like, you know what, we'll do what it takes to get this to close.
It's funny. Remember I told you that I had a listing that we found out there was additional issues that we ended up taking care of?
Yeah.
That house was the same house to where a previous buyer and their agent terminated because they found the additional
issues.
Well, we didn't know what it was. They said, oh, we have found some problems. But what problems? We don't know. Did you send me the inspection report? No. And they just terminated. But so if that buyer really loved that home, too bad, because their agent terminated and another client got it. And the seller took care of everything. So how did they know that the seller wouldn't have taken care of whatever issue they supposedly found? Because they didn't give us a chance to even address the situation.
And I think too, speaking about inspection reports, when a buyer gets a home inspection report, 9 times out of 10, they don't know what they're looking at. Mm-mm. Everything is instrumental. Yeah. Everything looks bad, especially when this inspection page is 60 pages. Mm-hmm. Everything looks bad to them. So you as an agent have to learn how to decipher through those reports what's important, what's minimal.
That? I mean, like, for example, if there's like a little bit of rotten fascia, or if the entire HVAC system needs to be replaced.
Yeah, the fascia's minuscule. Focus on the HVAC.
Yeah. And I think it's a combination, because sometimes there are inspection companies that they will send you a 150-page report, red lines everywhere. And then my pet peeve is when they give you little estimates. So they not only have an inspection company, but also like a contracting and repair company. And they're giving estimates on what something's going to cost to repair, which that's not.
And the estimates are outrageous 90% of the time.
Yes. And it's not, well, they do that, but then their actual estimate is lower so that they can get the job usually. And that's beyond the scope, I think, of what they're supposed to be doing.
I agree.
But if an agent doesn't do a lot of deals and they don't know how to read a report, or they don't even know what something is,
you'll lose deals over it easily. Yeah. I lost multiple deals in the beginning of my career, not knowing how to look through a home inspection report and decipher what's important and what's bad. Yeah. So it's very important that you learn how to have those conversations with the buyers, but also what things cost. Because I only know what things cost to get fixed because a lot of times it's the same stuff over and over and over again. I see an inspection report like rotted fascia or mold, or the well getting tested
now,
with bacteria.
Mold or mildew?
Yeah, there's that too. But I say that because it helps to have an idea of what some of those items cost, because what a buyer may think is a $10,000 repair may really only be $2,000.
Or here's an example of something that happened to me a couple weeks ago. The dishwasher was showing some signs that it was towards the end of its life. And instead of the other agent asking for a home warranty that would cover not only the dishwasher... No, so the dishwasher, instead of asking for that would cover multiple systems,
right?
They asked for a new dishwasher.
Which honestly probably was the same amount as the home warranty.
It was a little bit cheaper.
The dishwasher was cheaper than the home warranty?
The one they wanted anyway. So we did that, but then after we closed, I said, just for future notice, it would have better served your client to ask for the home warranty, which would have covered that, plus the fridge, plus multiple things.
Agreed. And it's funny when you're talking about it, I was like, they're going to ask for a home warranty. And you said they asked for a dishwasher. And it's funny, I always go to a home warranty too, because I even have one on my house. Yeah. And I have literally had so many things repaired and replaced because it has saved me so many times. Yeah. And I always highly recommend a home warranty to a client, especially when you're doing small repairs like that, that can easily be handled with a home warranty. And another cool thing too that some agents might not know about is that you can have a home warranty on the listing while you're listing it. So then if you get a home inspection report with issues on it, the home warranty company will come out and fix those things, which is awesome too.
Yeah, and most agents don't know that. So it really does matter who you hire as your agent and what they know. But it's funny, when they requested the dishwasher, the way it was texted to me was, it's a non-negotiable. The buyer needs a new dishwasher. Otherwise, we will have no choice but to terminate.
Over a $500 dishwasher? Be for real.
So stuff like that. You could have easily also just called me and said, hey, girl.
Right.
This is what we really need. Sure. No, no problem.
But clearly, it's crazy because clearly you as the other agent are willing to lose a deal over a $500 dishwasher.
Pride.
Yes. Why not have fought for your client yourself and tried to work it out instead of just being so adamant that we're done if we can't get the dishwasher? Are you serious?
Or even if I was representing that buyer, which I wasn't, let's say the seller did say no, which they took care of it, I would have then covered it myself.
Right.
It's just so wild.
Because you're doing what it takes to close it and to help your client.
Yeah.
What are we here for if we're not doing that?
You should probably leave the industry. Honestly. Well, I think that ends our time for today. Obviously, we have lots of opinions about this subject, but thank you for watching. We release a new episode every Wednesday. You can follow us on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts and social media, and we will be back next time. Thanks for watching.